Book 1 Chapter 10. The Description of Shiva's Boon. The Rishis said, O Suta, earlier you told us that Vyasa Deva, endowed with an unrivaled spirit, composed all the Puranas and imparted them to his own son, Shuka Deva. But how did Vyasa Deva, who was constantly engaged in tapasya, come to procreate Shuka? Please describe to us in detail what you have directly heard from Krishna Dvaipana Vyasa. Suta said, O Rishis, listen to how Shuka Deva, the best among the Munis and the foremost of the yogis, was born to Vyasa Deva, the illustrious son of Satyavati. On the splendid and divine summit of Mount Meru, Vyasa, son of Satyavati, with firm resolve, undertook severe austerities, tapasya, for the attainment of a son. Having heard from Narada, the great ascetic chanted the sacred one-syllabled mantra of Vak, and worshipped the supreme Mahamaya with the desire of having a son. He prayed, May a son be born to me, as pure, spirited, and powerful as fire, air, earth, and akasha. Suta continued. He reflected in his mind, a man endowed with Shakti is revered in this world, while one devoid of Shakti is ridiculed and ignored. Therefore, Shakti is indeed worshipped everywhere. With this understanding, he began to worship Bhagavan Maheshvara, united with the auspicious Adya Shakti, and observed tapasya for 100 years without consuming even a morsel of food. He undertook this intense austerity on the summit of that sacred mountain, adorned with the enchanting garden of Karnikara, where the Devas rejoice, where the great ascetic Munis dwell, and where the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Maruts, the twin Ashwins, and other enlightened rishis, knowers of Brahman, reside. It is the very place where the Kinnaras eternally fill the air with celestial music. In this divine and vibrant realm, Vyasa Deva chose to perform his tapasya. So powerful was the intensity of his penance that the entire universe became pervaded by the spirit of asceticism emanating from the wise son of Parshara. The hair on his head matted and turned tawny, blazing like tongues of fire. Witnessing the rising flames of his spiritual power, Indra, the lord of Shachi, was seized with great fear. Suta continued. Bhagavan Rudra, seeing Indra so afraid, weary, and despondent, asked him, O Indra, why do you appear so fear-stricken today? O Lord of the Devas, what is the cause of your sorrow? Never allow jealousy or anger to arise in your heart toward the ascetics. The mindful sages, who engage in severe tapasya with noble intentions, worship me, knowing me to be united with the all-powerful Shakti. They harbor no ill will toward anyone. Upon hearing these words of Bhagavan Rudra, Indra humbly asked, What is the object of his penance? To this, Shankara replied, Parshara's son is performing intense austerities for the attainment of a son. It has now been 100 years since he began. I shall go to him today and bless him with the auspicious boon of a son. Saying thus to Indra, Bhagavan Rudra, the guru of the three worlds, proceeded to where Vyasa Deva sat in meditation. With eyes full of compassion, he said, O sinless son of Vasvi, arise. I grant you the boon of a son, fiery, radiant, and spirited, embodying the essence of the five elements, fire, air, earth, water, and akasha. He shall be a supreme jnani, the abode of all auspicious qualities, of great renown, loved by all, endowed with all sattvic virtues, ever truthful and valorous. Suta continued. Hearing these sweet and compassionate words of Bhagavan Shulpani, Maharshi Krishna Dvaipana bowed reverently before him and returned to his own hermitage. Weary from years of intense tapasya, the great sage attempted to kindle a sacred fire by rubbing together two pieces of arni wood. As he performed this ancient rite, his high-souled mind began to wander into deep contemplation on the matter of procreation. He pondered, Will my son be born, just as this fire emerges from the friction of these two churning sticks? I have not yet obtained a wife, whom the learned refer to as Putrarani, a youthful maiden of noble birth and endowed with beauty and chastity. I have not yet found such a companion. But even a chaste and worthy wife, capable of bearing a son, is still a binding force, a chain upon both legs. How, then, can I bring myself to accept such bondage? It is well known that a virtuous wife, though skilled in all household duties, graceful, and capable of fulfilling all desires, still remains a form of attachment and limitation. What stronger proof than this, that even Bhagavan Maheshwara himself remains under the influence of a woman? How, then, knowing all this, having heard and understood the truths of existence, can I willingly enter into the complex and binding life of a householder? Suta continued. While he was immersed in such thoughts, the extraordinarily beautiful Apsara Ghritachi appeared before him, descending gracefully in the celestial air and coming close to where he sat. Though Vyasa Deva was a brahmachari of the highest order, one who held the secret generative power under perfect control, yet, upon seeing the agile Apsara so suddenly near him, casting alluring sidelong glances, he was struck by the arrows of Kamdeva, Cupid. Disturbed in spirit, he began to think, what shall I do at this critical juncture? Unbearable waves of desire have now arisen in me. If I unite with this celestial maiden, knowing that Dharma is ever watchful, and aware that she has come to lure away the fire of spirit I earned through my severe tapasya, I shall become the subject of ridicule among the high-souled ascetic munis. They will deem me deluded and fallen. Alas! Why have I, who practiced the most dreadful austerities for 100 years, become so weak at the mere sight of an Apsara? The Pandits proclaim that household life is the path to begetting a son, fulfilling one's heartfelt desires, and attaining happiness. It is said to grant both the pleasures of heaven and, for the nanis, even lead to moksha, liberation. If such supreme joy lies in the path of the householder, perhaps I should consider taking this Devakanya, even though it may be criticized. But again, I know that such happiness will not come to me through her. Of this, there is no doubt. How, then, can I accept her? I have heard from the lips of Narada how, in ages past, King Pururava was ensnared by the charms of Urvashi and, in the end, suffered immense sorrow, defeated and broken by her enchantments. Thus ends the 10th chapter of the first book on the description of Shiva's boon. In the Mahapurana Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses, composed by Maharshi Vedavyasa,